Okay. Alrighty, so we're continuing with our Flutter Web App today. So I've got a couple things I want to debug, a couple features I want to add, a lot of minor updates that we're going to be adding tonight. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and spin it up. Let me pull open a Chrome tab. All right. Okay, so this is the web app. Since last stream, I've gone ahead and redone this main page. It was just like a really bland button. So now it's somewhat normal. It kind of matches the Twitter theme. So we're going to go ahead and log in with Twitter. File dev, password, sign in. Okay. So there's a couple things I want to add. I noticed on the production version at shutupandtweet.app that when it's waiting for data here, sometimes it can take a little bit longer. Sometimes Twitter's APIs are acting up and it takes like 5 seconds. And during that 5 seconds, it can look really bad because, let me just refresh the page and see if we can see that behavior, but what ends up happening, okay, that's an issue. We'll need to address that, but like if you see right there, it sets followers to 0, tweet count to 0, like it puts a picture, but like it looks really bad. So we need, in this whole container, we just need a giant circular progress indicator while we're waiting. And then once we have data, we can show it. That UID issue I've seen pop up here and there, but I haven't been quite sure like what was the actual cause of it. So that needs to be addressed. I've been keeping a backlog of like where all this stuff is happening and what needs to be touched up on. Line 151, homepage. Okay, so it's saying that this valid member on null. It's saying this was null, even though the user is authenticated. So that's interesting. Okay. We'll have to look at that. That's good to know. The main thing I want to start on though and add in tonight is down here in the tweet backlog. So actually I already did this one, so I'm going to archive it. Yeah, so what I want to be able to do is, let's say I have a typo or I change my mind on the wording if I want to do a tweet. I want to add in a pencil icon similar to this one down here, right on the far right next to the copy button. That way the user can re-edit that tweet instead of having to delete it and then do a whole new tweet. And so that's the first thing I wanted to add tonight. And so we're gonna have to do two things. One, we're gonna need to set up the Firebase method to update a tweet. So we have the UID, well, not the UID, the ID, the document ID of each one of these tweets. So all we need to do is pass the specific section that we're working with so we know which one to look at. And not just the section, we need to pass the section ID, the ID of the document that the section falls under. We need to pass the ID of the tweet, and then we need to pass the new text that we want to replace for that tweet. And it'll just be a simple update query. For actually editing this, I had a thought of making this like a form field, text form field right here. But I think for consistency's sake, what I'm probably going to do is just pop up this window again and just auto pop, like feed into it and have it start with this text already filled in. They can edit it, but it'll have to be different because what's difficult is if they click it from here, then we need to update, not add. if they click it from the pencil, we need, or the plus button, we need to add, not update. We can't mix those two up. So I may just have to have a separate pop-up, or add in some additional parameters so we know which one we're clicking from and performing the proper action depending on which one we're clicking on. We'll have two different types of actions. So let's go ahead and add that first. So I need to find the copy button. The first thing I need to do. Okay, so I think this is, yeah, this is grid box. So this is what we want right here. So we have our icon button. We're currently using a space between. So what I'll probably do, I'm gonna cut the icon button and add in another row widget. Main axis alignment, end, children. Have two of these. This one is not going to show this. Need to change that action. And instead of copy, we want it to be edit outlined. Edit attributes outlined. It's something outlined. I think it starts with edit. Edit. Oh, it's just edit outlined. That's it. Okay. So that. And here we need to call that method that pops it up to add in a tweet. What is that called? Add? Okay, so it's this right here. So show pop-up. Section, tweet controller, sections to context. I believe 2 just, that's like a size we're passing. So depending on if it's a mobile or a web that's being passed that we're dealing with, we pass a size so we know how wide to make the pop-up. So I think what I'll do is I'll add another variable, a Boolean, and then that way we can tell if we're supposed to add or we're supposed to update, because we're going to need to call 2 different methods depending on where the user clicked it from. So let me just add show pop-up first. So where was I just at? Copy tweet, edit outlined, right here. Okay. Before this though, I need to say tweet controller dot text is equal to, I need to get the value of the tweet. This. Over that. Okay. I think that should be good. Yeah, let's go ahead and modify this next. You take in Boolean type, and then if it's true, we'll say we're adding, and if it's false, we'll say we're updating. So where did I do that? Second to last, right before context. So in this case, we'll have it as false because we are updating. And then for the other 2, they'll be true. Okay. And now we need to modify the show pop-up for when we click the button before we just straight up call add. Where's that button, first of all? Okay, right here. So before we call add, we need to check if that Boolean is true or false. If it's true, we can do this action. If it's false, we want to do the update. So if type that, else we'll do the other. It'll be called update tweet. Takes in tweet, and it takes in the section. It'll also need to take in the tweet ID. Don't know if we pass that into this method though. Sections, tweet controller, size, type. We need to know the ID of the tweet itself. That in right before size. Make this the first variable. And we don't care to use tweet ID if it's the other. Okay. So we added it right before right after sections. Okay, hold up here. Don't actually care on this one. Yeah, we're good. And then for the mobile one. I think we're solid. So I think all we need to do now is just set up that method. Update tweet. So let's go ahead and go into util, Firestore, update tweet count, nope. Tweet, archive tweet. Add item to checklist. Add tweet. Okay, we were right there. Okay. Future void update tweet. Take in a string of tweet ID. We take in a string of tweet itself. We take in a string of the section ID. Okay. Let me just make sure I got those lined up right. Yes. Okay. So we want to get the UID of the user. We want to call Firebase, Firestore, .instance, .collection, users, doc, section ID, .collection, backlog. That's what it's called. Yeah. Doc, tweet ID, .updates. And we want to update tweet to be, yep, that's it. Okay, so I think we're good with that. Spelled it wrong. Okay, hold up. Before I move any further forward, what was that bug I just saw? Tracker update schedule. We run this from the start. Okay. Go ahead and log in. All right. So we have our edit button. Let's go ahead and press it. And before I go any further, I actually also want to pull up in Firebase, see if it's updating properly. Okay. Firestore. So we are dealing with networking. So let's find networking. Backlog. It's the one tweet. Okay, let's remove that hashtag and see if it updates it. It did not. Error 2. No document to update. 6. Strange. Yeah, let's go look at that method one more time and let's just step through it. Oh, I'm so dumb. Yep, this makes more sense. Okay. Doc UID doc collection strategy. That makes more sense. I wasn't even pointing to a user document. Let's try this one more time. Start. Edit it. Remove that hashtag. Okay, let's check in the database. Looks good. To add any? Nope. Okay. The last thing we need to update with this is saying add tweet. We want it to say update tweet. So depending on what that Boolean is set to, we'll show one or the other. Excuse me. Okay, so that's looking good. Yeah, that's looking good. Okay, so let's go ahead and add that logic into the dialog. So we say add tweet. What we really want to say is if it's true, we want to say make it say abs. If it's true, we want it to say add tweet. If it's false, we want it to say update tweet. And so let me look this. I just don't want. Let's okay. Flutter conditional string. Oop. This is what I'm looking for. Okay, so yeah, so we'll have the variable, question mark, what we want it to show if it's true, colon, what we want it to show if it's false. I always get confused if it's the question mark first or if it's the colon first. So we are going to say, what did we type? Is that what we called it? I think so. Yeah. Restart. Yeah, let's go ahead and check if that did the trick. So if we click on it from the edit, say update, we click on it from the add, it says add. Awesome. And then one more thing I want to add, I want it to clear out everything if I click out of the box. Right now, it only clears out if I click add or update. When I click out like this, I want it to be cleared when I open it back up again. I believe there's a message we can, or not a message, there's a method we can use for this. Dismiss. Dismiss callback. Is that all it is? And we want to say this guy. Awesome. Perfect. Okay. So that is the intended action. That's another thing done off of our backlog. You go ahead and add that to the README. I actually don't even know if I added this into the... No, I did not. As a user, I can edit previously added tweets. I had another couple other updates I wanted to make. What were they? I think the next big one was, while we don't have data yet for this, like while we're still loading it, to just do a circular progress indicator. Right now it does that for the image, but it still looks funky and it feels like the page is broken if the Twitter API call takes more than like 3 seconds. Earlier today, it was like a fluke case. I think it was because of my internet, but it didn't load for like 5 or 6 seconds, and I thought the page was broken just because it looked really weird. So yeah, that needs to get done. I'm also noticing that this is screwed up. It's unchecking things too early. Because I used on production earlier and checked off these boxes, and they shouldn't get unchecked until it's the next day. And so the fact that they're unchecked right now means I think something went wrong. If I pull it up on here, it would log me right in. Yeah. So these should be checked. So something's wrong with that method, that check method. I have a method that every single time I log on, it does a quick check to see where it is. Delete archive tweet, get strategy sections, it's this one. So I do this checklist where I basically say, get today's date, compare today's date to the last checked date in the app, and if they're different, clear it out. Well, not clear it out. If they're different, uncheck all the boxes. Otherwise, just leave them alone, don't do anything. And what it should do is it should clear out each box and set the check to false, and then afterwards it should add an updated date with today's date. So for some reason, unless it's like operating off of UTC, like not Eastern time, like local time, and it could be that that's what it is doing, is it's basing it off of not my local time, but like a standardized. We can check that right now, actually. Because this should, trying to think here. Let's check if it's got local time or if it's some standardized time. If it's a standardized time, that would make sense as to why it cleared. If it's local time, though, that it's using, then I'm at a loss for why it's not working properly, and we need to figure that out. So we can do that. Let's see, we use the date for tweet. So let's just do this. Let's add another tweet. It'll give us a date. we can check and see if that date matches the time that it is right now for me, which is about 6:20. And if it is, then that means we are using the local time. If it's not, then that means we need to change all of our methods to use local time. Otherwise, for people like me on the East Coast, at 6 in the evening, it's going to think that it's a new day. So, okay, so let's add a new tweet. We'll add it to networking. Test tweet time. Add. There. Go ahead and check out our new tweet. Okay, 1821, that's local time. That's what we're expecting. So it's using local time. So then the other question is, $10:26 today. That's weird. That's weird. It was working earlier today, and so I'm curious if something happened and it just accidentally got triggered, or if there's something more going on here. I'll just have to test this at like midnight. So I'll have to do right before midnight, check a couple boxes, right after midnight, get on and see if it cleared it properly. And maybe just keep an eye on it for the coming days and see if there's any problems. Hopefully that was just some fluke mistake since I was modifying a lot of the Firebase methods. For those joining, what we're doing is we're adding in some small features to Shut Up and Tweet. It's a Twitter strategy app. I'll be right back. I'm gonna let my dog in. As I was saying, it's a Twitter strategy brand management type of app. So you can create a checklist, create a backlog of tweets, see statistics, and that sort of thing. So the next thing that I wanted to do was I want to explore the Twitter APIs a little bit more and see what other kind of data I can get for free. Their enterprise account gives you access to like a bunch of information, like analytics and stuff, but the free version that I'm using gives you like a limited scope. It's like there's a limited number of stuff you can get out of it. So I'm thinking what we're going to do is we're going to look at those APIs, see what other information we can get, and then we're going to create some sort of goal or analytics tracking portion to this app. So we'll have an additional bar at the top where you can set a follower goal. You can set like a favorites and retweet goal that you want to hit. If we can get access to it, maybe impressions. And then every time the user gets on, we'll check the new stats and see how they're progressing towards those goals. We'll need to think up some new architecture for how we're going to store that. I'm thinking we'll just have a collection called goals, and each document will, but they could be unique. Yeah, we'll have to think of that, how the architecture will be in the database, but it shouldn't be too difficult. We can change the names of these. That was done the other day. Oh yes, one of the other big things I want to do was to add and remove sections. So like, say I don't care for this self-promotion section. I could delete it and only have 3 sections, or I could add in a 5th section if I want to rotate through even more different types of topics and organize them even more. So that was another thing on my backlog of things I wanted to add in. I think I'd like to start with goals though, and then go to this bit later on. So let's get going with that. So I'm going to first shell out like the UI for like a nice little clean grid that's similar to this up at the top. And we will go from there, I guess. So let's go ahead and do that. So close out these, go to homepage. Okay. So that's small screen. Tweet backlog, checklist. Okay, so we're gonna have another one of these. Call it analytics. No, let's call it goal panel. And let's mimic it after checklist. Okay. Move that. It's going to be a singular container. Actually, we can remove this. Where's our container? We can remove all of this. Screen size, width, 1.3. Shorter than that, 1.2. Oh, 1.1. Much, 1.15. Little, 1.12. Just right. Okay. So for this one, we are going to remove this top bar. Let's remove all the contents and just leave the container for now. So get rid of this stack. And for now, let's have a simple text widget. Okay. So you sign on. The first thing you see is your goals and how far you're progressing. Maybe we'll add some charts and kind of see like a progressive, like did I hit my goals or not? Maybe we could do like a GitHub thing, kind of like where you have a cell for each day and then it's a different color based on if you achieved or missed your goals. I don't know. There's a lot of things we could do with it. I think for now though, the basic thing we need to set up is I want to add a goal. I want to see how I'm doing. And then later on, we can get into tracking daily progress and if you hit them daily. But for now, I say let's just do adding a goal and seeing its progress. Let's do a couple sections. We'll do followers. We'll do tweets. And then we'll do kind of like a mixture of impression, favorite, retweet section. So let's start with the far left. We'll do followers first. And we want 3 sections. So we're going to break it out to a row. Children, 3 containers. And we'll figure out how to add this to mobile. We'll probably do, I think I might do a carousel for mobile. So like you have a singular box similar to this guy, and you swipe to see the next goal section, swipe again to see the next one. It's like a infinite revolving goal panel. But for web, because we have this, the space, we're gonna just do it all in one single panel across the top. So this one will be followers. This one will be tweets. This one will be impressions. I don't think I can actually see impressions unless I had an enterprise account for Twitter, but I can see favorites and retweets. I can definitely see, I can see the total number of favorites, although I think that's favorites that I favorited. I need to clarify what that number represents. When you grab the user's information, there's a field called favorites, and I can't, it's hard to tell if it means that's the number that I've favorited, like tweets I've favorited, or number of people that have favorited my tweets. I don't know which one it is. We need to clarify that. There's a chance though that we can only get impression information on the most recent like 20 tweets. And so maybe this is just like maybe it's just like this was yesterday's total number of retweets, follows, etc. But let's start with followers for now. So to start, we'll do, actually, let's leave that for now. Let's do a width. Oh man. I think. Let's give it different colors so we know kind of what we're looking like. Width is going to be screen size. That width divided by 4. Okay, now let's give the same properties to these other two. Blue. And let's give them even spacing. Okay, I think that's good in terms of width. Height, we want it to take up most of the section, but not all. So height, screen size dot height divided by 3. Good. We can remove these colors. Okay, so we need to add in the visual of how many you have, and going along with that, what is the goal? Then we also need to add in a plus button to where you can set a goal. Or, I don't know, we kind of need it might be better just to design this out first before we just get into it. Because I'm a little unclear on how I want to do this. I know that I want to include some interactive statistics, analytics to see your progress. The whole purpose of this is to organize your tweets and to set goals and work towards those goals. And so I feel like we've done a good job of the organization bit so far with a daily checklist that resets, with the tweet backlog you can fall back on, so I can plan a week's worth of tweets in one day. And then we've got some analytics here: total tweet count, followers, your most recent tweets, and the likes and retweet counts for those tweets. Yeah, so the last thing is I just want to make this more interactive, being able to set goals and visualize those goals, because people really like that in these admin dashboards. So let's go to Dribble. Goal analytic dashboard. Let's see what kind of stuff comes up. Maybe we can mimic some of these more popular ones. I'm specifically interested in like where you set and add goals. We could do like a little slider. Like you can slide on like a scale of like, it increments in 10s. No, but there's such a wide range. Like you could have someone who has like 60,000 followers already. Like that would get too difficult to scroll to the right spot. It needs to be enter in the goal. But like I don't know how to do that in a clean way that wouldn't look tacky. I could have like a, no, I was gonna say I could have like an onboarding page where I prompt them to enter it, but their goal is gonna be constantly changing. They'll be upping it once they hit it and all that. Could do a floating action button, just like a very simple plus button, and then have another pop up where enter the goal. I could make the goal itself clickable, so it's like a text form field that they can just click on it and edit it. I think for now, functionality is probably the best thing to do. Just get it functioning, and then we can style it up later. That's what we did with the off page. It looked like crap, but it functioned great, and now it looks a lot better now that I've gone back through and brushed it up. So let's go for functionality, and then we can We can worry about styling later. But this is, okay, this is the thought I had, kind of like GitHub, where, you know, you have cells for each day, and then you show if you hit your tasks and goals for that day, like you completed your checklist and you're like on track to hit these goals, it would be different colors. But that's kind of getting off topic from what we're focusing on here. So let's do this. We'll have floating action button. Sure. Okay, let's just do this. Let's do a column. In the column, we'll do row. Row's gonna have 3 values. All type text. Okay. Let's get this styling. Good. 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 Center that column. Center that row. Put some color on this guy. I just want to make sure it's not infringing on this section. I'm pretty sure there's padding between. We did do space evenly. That should be fine. So let's go ahead. Maybe at the top we can have something that says followers. Followers goal. Okay. Whoa, too much. Hey, forget this. Let's not. Where's our column? Remove this. And let's just give this guy some padding. And let's get this edge insets dot symmetric vertical 15. Yeah. So I'll put a 15 padding above and below this. And then here at the bottom, maybe we have some sort of graph of some kind of visual thing to see if this has been reached or not. And then we'll add in the data afterwards. I'd like to make this the same color as these, so using the dark Twitter color. Although I'd like to experiment with the blues first and see how those look instead. So let's use our app colors. .Twitter, let's use blue first. I don't like that. Dark blue. Even worse. That light blue. Nope. We're gonna use dark Twitter. Yeah, we're gonna use dark Twitter. Let's cut this though, and we're gonna put all this in a decoration. Box decoration. And the reason for that is I want to give it a border radius. round it off a little bit. Okay. And to save myself the time, I'm going to go ahead and paste these 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. This one is impressions. This one is tweets. Actually, that's what I currently have. Say I want to be at 12,000, 1,200. Okay. Let's turn down the font just a tad in terms of size, just the slightest bit, because if we start to shrink this, we're gonna have some overflow. Oh no, we aren't. It's just gonna look tacky. So let's still shrink down the size, and then let's center that text. So if it does overflow on the next line, it'll at least look clean. So this guy will be text align dot center. Then let's turn that down to 32. And we'll do that for the other 2 titles as well. Better. If I shrink this, it's not too bad. Okay. Let's do this. Let's get some real data first. No. Yeah, let's hook it up to some real data for followers. We'll tackle that one first because we already know how many followers we have. All we need to do is add in what the goal is and then add a button for adding to that. As far as the architecture goes, for now, what I'm going to do is we are going to have a collection under our users called goals. And then we know that we're only going to allow 3 types of goals. We're not going to go beyond that for now. So we'll just set up right from the start. We'll set up 3 different sections within that, 3 different documents. And that'll be for followers, tweets, impressions. And then we can keep information related to those goals within those documents. So I think that's the plan, tentatively. So let's go ahead and write out some methods to add in and update that information. So let's go back to VS Code, back to Flutterfire, future void, we'll call it change goal. Change follower goal. Okay. So we will say Firebase.instance. Oh, I'm sorry, Firebase Firestore. .instance.collection users. .doc UID. .collection. We said it was going to be called goals. .doc. We're going to call the doc followers. Update. I think update will create a document if it didn't exist in the first place. That's the case I'm trying to think of. I just want to make sure it won't totally just fail on me if it's the first time. Okay, so we're going to update the parameter that's going to be called goal and set it equal to whatever's being passed. So we'll take in an integer goal. Yeah. Okay. 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 That's to change our follower goal. I'm thinking whether or not we want to use a stream or just a simple method to get the goals. For now, we'll just use a method. We'll just do kind of MVP style, get it, and then later on we'll go back and clean. So this is going to be called get follower goal. And we don't need to take in anything. And we're going to do this same thing. But instead of set or update, we're just going to call it .get. We're going to call this document reference doc. Oh, it's a snapshot. And then we'll say if doc.exists, then we will return doc.data. Within that, we want to grab the go on the outside. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then this is going to be user dot followers dot toString, and there's a chance this could break, so we'll say that. Let's do this. I don't remember how I set this. I think it should always be set to at least something. If it's not, though, it's going to break. I could add this like optional, but I still think it's going to break on me if there's nothing. Okay, actually that works fine. And then let's just get the goal for this part. So for this guy, we'll say, I don't think we can place an await method in this piece. I think we're gonna have to do it like our init state. Again, I think we should just do a stream builder here. I honestly think that that's probably the best thing to do, is just do a stream builder. That way I'll update immediately. Yeah, let's do a stream builder. I'm going to copy this. Delete the rest of this. And then we'll add in a stream builder right here. Stream will be this guy. Go. UID is going to be I don't keep UID for the user. Got that text. Okay. And then the builder, I already. That's what we need. It's the async snapshot, query snapshot. Okay. Async snapshot, query snapshot. Except it's not a query snapshot, it's a document snapshot. Okay, what am I missing here? Build context. That was it. There it goes. That wasn't so hard. Good. And then we're going to put this actually within a circular well, we need to say if snapshot dot has data, then we can do that. And then this is going to be doesn't have data. Return circular progress indicator. So if we're still waiting on data, we're just going to spin it around. We've got data, we're going to set it equal to, this text will be snapshot.data. Cool. Okay, so it doesn't like that because we don't actually have anything. So this one's going to be called goals. Is that what I'd said? Then we're going to have a document called followers. Then value called goal. The important thing is we need to set this on the creation of the app. Otherwise it could break. Okay. I'm gonna remove my sweatshirt real quick. Okay. Okay, so that's looking good. We need to, we have a method in here where if it's the first time that the user ever signs up, we add in these different sections. So in this case, we're adding a bunch of documents. Yeah, so we're going to do something similar here. we are going to say add goals. Goal name. Set. And nothing inside it now. Actually, let's set value of goal 0 for each of them. Yeah, calling it goal. Okay, so then we're gonna say await add goal UID followers. Followers, we have tweets, we have impressions. Okay, so the first time the user ever signs up, it should add these sections as well. That way we won't run into that issue with our stream builder crashing because it can't find any value. So that's fine. So now we just need some kind of add button or like make that 365 clickable. And then the user can modify it and we'll have an update query to update the database. So maybe we do a pop-up, maybe. Let me check something real quick. Okay. So for now, let's just keep it simple. So we already have this method set up. So all we need to do is just create a simple add button. Let's go ahead and do that. Builder row. Below our row, we'll have our button. So material. I've done this so many times elsewhere. Let's just find a case where I did a button that looks decent and reuse that. I think it was all in my pop-ups. Also, I'm starting to second guess if I should do one continuous panel or if I should split them into 3 sections. I don't know what looks better. Let me go to dialogues, find a good example of a button. No need to redo what's already been done well. Add tasks, container. That's what I want. And there. Goal. Let's just see if this works first. Okay. If it works, by clicking this, it should change 365 to 15. Wow, that's bad. It changed it, but definitely broke something. Expected a value type string, but got a value type int. Ah. That would be the culprit of that error. Okay, let's try to change it to something else. Do 1500. Did I break something? Okay, my button's unclickable right now. I feel like something just broke. No problems, no logs. I think I might just need to restart it. I've been screwing with the state a lot. But let me just restart it. Actually, I'm going to do a quick clean. It's been a while. Okay. Once I have this good, I'm probably going to call it there. And just have a casual night. Okay. Run it again. A while to boot up. Okay, it worked. So what I'll probably do is actually make this like a clickable section. And so you can click on it, modify it, and once you've clicked out of it or hit enter, it'll call that method. But I think this is a good start for now. We're starting to formulate some ideas of how we want goals to work in the app. We've got quite a few features already working. I'm going to keep on thinking of more things to put on the backlog, and we'll kind of go from there. So thanks for stopping in.